Hey everyone, it's Brennen Clouse, your favorite Seattle realtor, and today we're talking about the 10 reasons you should move to Seattle, Washington. If you don't know anything about me, my name's Brennen, and I left Microsoft years ago to have a bigger impact on people's lives by helping them build wealth through real estate. Thanks for tuning in. If you have questions about real estate and you want to book a one-on-one consultation, I'd love for you to go to the link in the description where you can book directly on my Calendly for time for us to chat about Seattle or your home purchasing or selling goals. I'd be delighted to be able to help you with any of your real estate needs in the greater Seattle area. Without further ado, let's jump into the 10 reasons, we've got 10 of them, that you should move to Seattle. If you're considering a move, this video is for you. Let's jump right in. So the very first reason that you might want to move to Seattle is the size of the city. Seattle is a very manageable city. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right in the middle in my opinion. It's very easy to get around Seattle. It's very manageable. Every neighborhood has a little bit of a different feel, but it still is very nice and manageable. There's a lot of retail, a lot of restaurants, and there's things to do all around the city. You can go into Capitol Hill and try different types of food and coffee and drinks, and then you can go to Ballard and have a whole different experience. And you can do this all in the same day. It's not too spread out where you can't get to different parts of the city. It's very easy to go, especially in a car, from one part of the city to the other. And there's a lot of different things to experience in each area of the city. So definitely the manageable size of the city is the number one reason to move, especially if you're moving from a bigger city like New York, LA, San Francisco. Seattle is going to feel very manageable to you. The second reason you should move to Seattle, we can't go without saying, obviously, the coffee. Seattle coffee is known, it's popular, it is iconic, and for good reason. The coffee in Seattle is amazing. Now, you can't really go even like 1 or 2 blocks without seeing another coffee shop. There are tons of options, and the coffee here is amazing. I've been and visited other cities. I know that the Seattle coffee scene is hyped, and for good reason. We have tons of local chains, as well as obviously Starbucks was started here in Seattle. But obviously we have a ton of amazing places. We have places like Victrola, Cafe Vita, obviously Espresso Vivace, all of these amazing places. And it goes without saying that we also have the Starbucks Reserve and Roastery, which is an amazing spot to stop by and get some craft coffee drinks, which is obviously really yummy and delicious. Number 3 on our list is the food. So first we had coffee, now we have food. The food is superb in Seattle. We have really an eclectic and worldwide influence of foods in Seattle. There is a lot of Asian influence in the Seattle food scene. There's a ton of amazing like dumpling spots. There's a lot of fusion, but the food scene is stellar. We don't have Michelin stars in Seattle, unfortunately, but if we did, we would probably have some restaurants that would get them. It's really a great scene. There's all different types of food that you can enjoy. There's a ton of eating out. There's a ton of takeout. There are so many places to go. You'll see often a lot of my videos have my favorite food places because I love eating out in the city. It's one of my favorite things to do. Go try a new restaurant, go see what's there. Obviously, we have a ton of fresh seafood as well, just because of the proximity to the water. So the food scene in Seattle is definitely high on the list for the reasons to move to Seattle. Number 4 is all of the outdoor activities. So Seattle is super close to outdoor hiking trails that are an hour or less away. Obviously ski resorts, we have Stevens about an hour away. We have Snoqualmie, which is about an hour away. And then you can head up to Mount Baker if you like. And then the water. So in the summer, the outdoor activities on the water are incredible. You can go paddleboarding, you can go kayaking. If you have a boat, you can go out on the water. So there's tons and tons of outdoor activities in Seattle, and that's why that's number 4. Number 5, in my opinion, are the views. Seattle has some of the most spectacular views. It's one of very few cities in the country where you can actually get views of the water as well as the mountains. And this, in my opinion, makes Seattle super unique. It makes it so beautiful to hang out I love condo living specifically, and that's because you can get views of both in a condo. And even a lot of our homes in Seattle have views of the water or the mountains, and it just makes a really pretty setting. We have the most beautiful sunsets in the summer because they go behind the Olympic Mountains, which are at above the water, basically, if you're looking west. So it's very pretty. It's such a nice and serene place to live in terms of the outdoor views. Number 6 coming in on the list of reasons to move to Seattle is the ability to get in and out of the city via transit. So Seattle makes it super easy to take the light rail down to SeaTac Airport, Seattle Tacoma. It's super easy to get to the airport within about 45 minutes from downtown on the light rail. It only costs $3. In addition, if you are taking a car, it's only about 30 minutes without traffic. So it's super easy to get in and out of the airport. I obviously have to mention Alaska Airlines as well. They make it super easy to get anywhere on the West Coast from Seattle if you're planning your vacation during the winter to get to a sunnier place. So it makes it super easy to get around. The other places of transit that are super easy, it is very easy to get into West Seattle. If you're on a car, you can also take the water taxi. And the city is built around Lake Union, which is so awesome. There's a ton to watch and do. So you can see the duck dodge on Tuesdays when all of the sailboats come out. You can view the seaplanes coming and going from Lake Union, which is another mode of transit. So you can actually take a seaplane from Lake Union. It takes off in the lake and it will go out to the San Juans or other places. It's really super incredible and one of the most unique things I think about the city. Number 7 is it's really easy to take day trips from Seattle. So from Seattle, you can get to Vancouver within about 3 or 3.5 hours, which is up in Canada. You can go down to the Oregon coast. You could go see Cannon Beach. That's a little further. You can go places like Gold Bar that are out near the ski resorts, places like that. Obviously skiing, you can get to Walla Walla or the wine country of Washington within about 4 hours and go taste wine. You can go on to the San Juans, like I mentioned. You can go to visit the San Juan Islands by seaplane or by ferry. And those are really amazing day trips. You can go places like Bainbridge. You can also taste wine in Bainbridge or just walk around or do a hike or get outdoors. You can also go to Leavenworth for the day, which is a little German town that's on the east side of Washington. So there's a ton of different little day trips that you can take to get out of Seattle. Number 8 on our list is the moderate climate. So one of the first things I remember about asking people why they liked Seattle was a lot of people told me it doesn't get too hot and it doesn't get too cold. One amazing thing about Seattle is you really don't need air conditioning. There's about 1 to 2 weeks maybe in the summer that people would tell you you're crazy if you don't have air conditioning. But if you have good airflow in the place you're living, you probably don't need it because it doesn't get too hot. It's rare that in Seattle it gets above 100 degrees or even above 95. It's typically pretty moderate. And then it's pretty rare in Seattle that it doesn't snow. We've had snow maybe 1 year, or if you remember some of the TikTok videos about all of the ice on the hills in Seattle, that was a rare occasion. So we don't typically have a lot of extremes in terms of the weather. The biggest threat in terms of natural disasters is obviously earthquakes, but we don't have any tornadoes here. Doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. So it's very moderate climate, which is very nice if you're someone who doesn't want to be in extreme weather. Number 9 is the cost of living. So especially if you're coming from bigger cities like San Francisco, LA, or New York, you could see that the cost of living in Seattle is slightly lower. It is still expensive to live in Seattle. I will not deny that one bit. The cost of living is higher than other small towns, but in Seattle, you do get more for your money, especially when it comes to real estate. If you're looking in Seattle versus a bigger city like one of those, of course, living in the city is still expensive, but I think the cost of living as compared to a bigger city, especially, we have a lot of people who moved from San Francisco because they can still keep their jobs similar to what they had in San Francisco, but the cost of living is a lot less in Seattle. Last but not least, number 10 on the list for the reason to move to Seattle is there's a ton of industry here. There's not only the tourism industry, but we have a ton of technology. We have obviously Boeing. We have tech like Microsoft, Facebook or Meta. We have Amazon, which is a huge driver of our economy. There's a ton of tech. There's also a lot of medical industry jobs in Seattle. We obviously have the Children's Hospital. We have the University of Washington Medical branch. So there's a lot of different jobs and industry in Seattle. There's a lot of different things you could do. I think I didn't even mention Boeing before. That's a big one here. Alaska Airlines, Delta has a hub here. So there are a lot of big industries here that make a lot of jobs for people in Seattle. So that's another reason that Seattle can be a great place to come if you are looking for an industry change, or if you're looking for someplace where you could find a job in the same industry. There's a lot of great big industry and a lot of great jobs. So those are the 10 reasons that I think you should move to Seattle. If you're considering a move, hopefully this was helpful. And if you're thinking about Seattle on your list, be sure to book some time with me or reach out with my contact details below. We can talk about the city. We can talk about where you're looking and what I might recommend for you based on your preferences. I'm super happy to help. Thanks for tuning in. Again, it's Brennen Clouse and I'm your favorite Seattle realtor.